And hopefully they sign in.
Meeting continue.
Okay. All righty, so it is 6:32 p.m. This is March 31st, 2021. This is an organizational meeting of the Charter Review Commission, which has newly been formed. And I am the town clerk of the town of Little Compton. The first item on the agenda is to review the Charter Review Commission's duties and anticipated timeline. Prior to doing that, I would like to have each of you state your name and anything you feel might be pertinent for the others to know about you. We are missing 2 people at this point, which hopefully they'll sign in before the meeting is over. So just because I've got you all on my screen, I'm going to go from left to right and just call out your name and ask if you just give us a little bit of info about yourself. So the first one is Phil Crawford.
Hi, I'm Phil Crawford. I moved here 4 years ago by marriage, and looking forward to helping out and learning more about town government. Pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Ed Bowen.
I'm Ed Bowen. I live and work in town. I got off the school committee in November and needed another board to serve on. And so I'm happy to be here. I was on this board 20 years ago, at least, and happy to be back.
Thank you. Chuck Barrand.
Hello, everybody. I moved to town when my kids were toddlers. They're 21 now. They're twins, boy and girl, with my wife, Anna, and we live off Long Highway. And I served a few years on the planning board and kind of wanted to get a little more active again and volunteered for this board.
Thank you. Jack Hare.
Hello, everybody. I'm Jack Hare. I am a relatively new full-time resident of Little Compton, but I've been coming here for over 50 years. We live on West Main Road or Secana Point Road, my wife and I.
Thank you. Mike Focarelli.
Mike Focarelli, live in town, started as a summer resident in 1980 and moved to town full-time about 6 years ago. I'm currently on the zoning board and the beach commission and the Little Compton Village Improvement Society, and happy to be here.
And then Monica Hopton. She arrived.
Yeah, sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah, sorry. Just so I'm Monica Hopton. We've been here in town about 20 years. Never been on a board before, did run for town council a few years ago, and happy to be here to learn about this.
Well, thank you all. I did send out through email a copy of the charter and a copy of the timeline. Does anyone have any questions about what I've provided so far, or any questions about the process?
No.
All righty, mum's the word then.
Carol, the process is somewhat flexible, right? Right. I mean, I know the timelines, but you said sometimes people started with their own group. Sometimes they reached out to the various stakeholders in town, the people that run, the key departments, et cetera, get suggestions. And can you do I have that right, or is it?
You do. It is entirely up to this group how you tackle the review. At some point, you will touch base with all of the stakeholders, whether that's something you want to do up front or whether you want to dive into looking at the charter itself in the first couple of meetings for your own review. That's entirely up to you. At some point, hopefully you'll be able to meet in person, in which case you can invite people to actually come in person and talk to you about the charter. You may want to have a public meeting where the citizens of the town can offer their insight. There are many in town that have been on past charters. Larry Anderson and Scott Morrison both have served in the last decade and could probably give you insight if you are a little concerned about how you want to take things. But it is entirely up to you how you want to tackle it. It is a public board, so someone eventually will be appointed this evening among yourselves to be the secretary, and that person will be responsible for making sure the agenda gets posted on the Secretary of State's website, on the town hall. And then if you happen to be meeting in person in a different building, then you would want to put an agenda on that building as well, because it needs to be in the location of the meeting and one other public location. Will certainly help whoever it is that takes that role over. Train them, show them what they need to do. It's not very difficult. You take minutes, but you take minutes generically in the sense that you're going to speak to the fact that you reviewed certain sections of the charter. When you get into the more heated or meaty discussions, then you will make sure that the minutes reflect this concern was raised, or that concern was raised, or someone found this section perfectly fine. But beyond that, they're not meant to be verbatim. So whoever gets that position, don't worry about that.
Carol, may I ask you a question? And I should know this from the school committee, but this meeting is being recorded. Are those recordings provided to the Secretary of State as well, so that the minutes can be all the more cursory, or is it?
No, the recording is kept in our Zoom account, which is part of the state account, but at presently does not go on the Secretary of State's website. There is legislation hoping to achieve that, but right now it's just a recording that's kept. If someone asked to have a copy of it, then we would be bound to make a copy and submit it to them in whatever format we'd be able to. It would probably be a link to it rather than an actual file sent.
It's in no way supplemental to minutes that are taken at this point. It's just an open meetings request would be required for it.
Right.
Okay.
We are live streaming at the same time. That's been something that the town decided right from the very beginning with this COVID circumstances. So I find it's very easy to go to either one of those recordings for me, but if it was somebody that didn't have access to my Zoom account, you can certainly go to the live stream that's been done on YouTube and review it there. If whoever's taking the minutes, couldn't exactly remember how a conversation went, you'd be able to go back to that and look at it. All right. Well, this is interesting. All right. Well, what I'm hoping you're going to do this evening is, one, choose somebody to be your chairman or chairwoman, whichever you choose, and choose someone to be your secretary. And then I would also like for you to decide on when you would make your first meeting. And then from there, I'm not going to interact with you too much unless you ask me for specifics. And I mean, I'll be doing your Zoom meetings, but it's really your meetings, and I'm not the person who's going to be running it. It's going to be you. So at this point, I don't know if I want to ask for nominations, or maybe I should just ask for someone to volunteer to be the chairperson. Is there anyone that's interested in being the chair?
I would be happy to put forth a nomination, Carol.
Okay, well.
I would like to nominate Jack Hare for chair.
Oh. It's the newbie.
Do you need me to put it in the form of a motion?
Well, yeah, you can do that. Why don't you put it in the form of a motion?
I move that we elect Jack Hare as chair of the Charter Review Commission.
And is there a second to that?
I second that.
Okay. Is there any discussion to that nomination or appointment?
I would just say, as Carol, who so appropriately called me a newbie, and for about 30 years, this would be my opportunity to complain publicly. she charged me the non-resident duck hunting fee here, even though I've been paying taxes in town for over 30 years. I am a newbie, and so I've not been involved with the town council other than a few zoning things. I'd be happy to serve as a chairperson if that would be helpful, but I'm happy to support somebody else as well. So.
Great.
Okay, well, hearing no further discussion, I will take the vote by roll call. Phil Crawford? Oh, I think you're on mute. Either that,
Yes, is that better?
it is better, thank you.
Okay.
Ed Bowen,
Aye.
Mike Folcarelli,
Aye.
Chuck Barrend,
Aye.
Monica Hopton,
Aye.
and Jack Hare. You get to
Aye.
vote. Okay, so it's unanimous. Thank you, Jack. You will be the chair. Is
Thanks for stepping up,
there,
Jack.
Thank you.
is there a nomination for someone, or is there a volunteer from someone to serve as a secretary?
Oh, I will, Carol, with your guidance and help, I will, I'll do that.
Okay.
I said I wasn't going to, but I will because I know that you'll support me, Carol.
I can, I will. All right, so let's put that in a form of a motion. Is anyone willing to make a motion in a second to have Mike serve as your secretary?
I will move that we elect Michael Folcarelli, Secretary of the Charter Review Commission.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. And then any further discussion? No, okay. By roll call again, Phil,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Chuck,
Aye.
Monica,
Aye.
Jack. Thank you. I saw the mouth move. You said aye.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
thank you. I couldn't hear it. Okay, so it's unanimous by roll call again. Thank you very much. Your next action is to decide when you want to meet again. And then at that meeting, my suggestion would be that you decide how you're going to tackle this project.
Carol, are we bound to meet on a regular basis? What's the What
There
is-
is no protocol.
Okay.
Some charter review commissions have met, twice a month. Some have met more than that. Some have met only once a month. It really depends on how much work you think you're going to have. Honestly, I think you're going to have quite a bit of feedback from, at minimum, the council and the finance department and the administrator, only because in the last few years, we've firmed up the role of the town administrator, which wasn't as active as, or even in the charter prior. It's in our ordinances, but not in the charter in any great detail. We have a new finance director and no longer have an elected tax collector, so that changes things. So I think you're going to find that there's quite a few things that might need to be fine-tuned.
So Carol, the first meeting is obviously a meeting where we sort through people's schedules, and I mean, we set up the meeting now, but we figure out what works for people, and do people know who is on the committee? So, obviously the town council members and some of the people you just mentioned will know because they're involved, but will others know so they can reach out, people in town, et cetera, if they want? Or how does
Well,
does
they
it
do know in the sense that it's posted on our website who the members of well, I don't know if we've done that yet. I'll have to ask Heather tomorrow. It will be posted on the website who the Charter Review Commission members are. But
Carol, does
That
that posting, excuse me, does that posting or will that posting have our emails with it as well?
Well, that's part of the question. Would you
Okay.
want emails or phone numbers or just a generic box maybe that I can have our IT department make up for an email? Those are all options that you have. I would suggest that you're going to reach out through either an advertisement or asking us to put something on our website or postings around town that announces to people the charter is being reviewed, and if they have anything to put for input, please watch this website or watch, Secretary of State's office, or if you have definitive dates that you're going to meet, post those in that notice that, these are the dates we're going to meet, and watch for the agendas to be posted for Zoom links.
I mean, I would suggest that we have a common email set up that's, where that we all have access to that. So we have a separate email that anyone can send to, and that doesn't burden everybody's however many emails that you already have working.
Well, generally what happens with those group emails is I, a member of the public, would send an email to, let's say, Charter Review, LC Charter Review at littlecomptonri.org. Behind the scenes, normally what happens is all of your personal emails are connected to that, so that when that comes in,
Okay.
it then splinters out to you. So it probably won't help your inbox unless you don't want it to be functioning that way, in which case you're going to have to designate one person to make sure that they go to the email, check them, find out what's there, print out what needs to be done for the whole group. It's up to you.
Carol, we potentially have the same sort of rolling quorum issues with one email that we would with other boards, I take it. So it would make sense for one person to, put these things on for the meetings rather than for us all to be responding all, for example, to.
Oh,
emails that
I
come in.
would, the intent is that you do not respond to these. The intention is that someone has one location to send it, knowing that it's going to get to all of you. But you should not be responding to those emails. That should go on an agenda at some future point, and then the response is made at that point. And I'm going to suggest that each of you take some time and go on the Attorney General's office website and review open meetings. They have a seminar there, they call it a summit, and it's a training to give you an idea of what you should or should not be doing with open meetings. Some of you have been involved in meetings, so you already know you can't send emails amongst yourselves and reply all, because that's considered a rolling quorum. They consider that as if it's a meeting because you're actually interacting with each other. The only thing that you can do that's not considered a violation is schedule a meeting through an email. But everything else, you're not supposed to be interacting and talking. And you can't have one person talk to one other member and then that member talk to another member, and that's the rolling quorum.
So you only do this at meetings that are set up,
Yes.
and you collect all these inquiries through emails, and then they are discussed at a meeting that we have set up.
Right.
So they would be, those inquiries would be put on an agenda for us to discuss at a meeting. So
Yes.
we would look at the emails, and if there was something that we felt we needed to discuss, we would put that in an agenda that would be posted.
Mhm.
And it's a public meeting, so anyone can pop in either Zoom or in person. And I don't know, Carol, can they participate, or they just watch us discuss? How does that?
Well, that's up to the board somewhat. The law does not require you to allow them to speak. But generally, especially with this board, that's your intention. You want to hear people's input. So, at this point in time, we have 2 extra people beyond the board that's here. Larry Anderson and Roger Lord. They're both signed in as attendees, as
Okay.
members of the public. So should one of them put their hand up that they wanted to speak, I, as the host, would allow them to speak and you would be able to hear them and interact with them. At this point, they're just watching. And we are also live streaming, so there could very well be other people watching this on YouTube as the meeting is unrolling. Those people don't have an option to speak because they're only video watching, but anyone who signs in as an attendee, a member of the public. Larry Anderson just sent me a chat that says he plans to put my hand up at the appropriate time. Larry, I think this is a perfect time. Let me allow you to talk.
Self, okay, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you all for volunteering to participate for this important job. And as Ed mentioned, I think I served, Ed, with you on a charter review commission back 20 years ago, and which you may have chaired. I'm not sure. I think you chaired that one. And I subsequently chaired a charter review commission, and I think I've pretty much monitored all of them, including the original elected charter commission back in the early 90s. So, this is both an important job and an interesting one because it gives some citizens a chance to take a review of the entire structure of town government. The practical things that I would mention are, as Carol observed, that in my observation, every single charter commission has managed this in a different way. Some have been very thorough and comprehensive and invited every board and official to come. Others have been have taken a more abbreviated approach. So really it's sort of up to you. A couple practical things, Carol, I think in the charter, and this is sometimes not noted because this is an irregularly appointed board, the charter provides that the Charter Review Commission shall have a budget, partly for the possibility that you might want to do a mailing primarily. So that's a 2-year cycle. I don't know whether that's been included in this year's budget or not.
Yes, it has been.
Okay, so that there may be a number or a budget proposed to give you some funds if you need them to function. And the other important document that I think it's always worth looking, and maybe Carol has provided this, is the whole basis of the Home Rule Charter derives from Article 13 of the Rhode Island Constitution. And that is both, that explains the town's ability to have a charter, which wasn't adopted by the town until 1994 and took effect in 1995. But to me, I've read it a gazillion times. It's a little hazy about the limits of the town's authority to restructure certain things in its government and not others. In certain cases, you have to go to the legislature for approval and others not. But it is worth, it's not a long section of the Constitution, but it is worth taking a look at that as you begin your work along with the charter itself. So I wish you luck, and again, I'm grateful for your willingness to volunteer for this important job.
Thank you, Larry. Okay, so
Carol, a couple of questions. When we set up a meeting, do we have to, I mean, we can email each other and say, how about this date or that date? And do we have to have post it and say, okay, we're going to meet? We have to give people at least a week's notice to this effect?
the Open Meetings Act is 48 hours.
Okay,
That's the minimum. I'm kind of hoping that you're going to come up with a set of dates, at least for the next, say, 6 months, where you want to say, these are the dates we're going to meet and the time that we're going to meet. And then that can get posted somewhere so that people are aware those are going to be your dates, and to look for agendas a couple of days before that. If you want a policy amongst yourselves to do it a week before rather than the 48 hours, that's well within your rights. But the minimum is 48 hours.
gotcha. And is Little Compton made a determination as to when people will meet in person?
Not yet. Not yet. The problem with meeting in person right now is that the executive orders from the governor still require the electronic communications to continue, even if you're able to meet in person. And that is a great difficult thing to do, to mix a hybrid meeting of in-person and Zoom, because we're not set up to do that very well. And you find that the people that are in the Zoom field cannot hear the people that are in person very well if they're not speaking into their microphones, and vice versa. So we've kind of taken the position right now, until we can get ourselves set up to handle a good hybrid meeting, and until the governor's orders go away, we're going to do Zoom.
Carol, do the governor's orders include meeting outside?
You still are mandated to do the electronic, even if you're outside, even if you can have a meeting where everybody can be there with CDC protocols and it be safe. We're still mandated to allow for some form of either live streaming or electronic Zoom or Microsoft Team or something for
Right.
people to be able to participate.
Okay.
Carol, this is, I know that, is there plan, because I imagine that this, even after the pandemic, this is going to continue. So is there, do you think that Little Compton will get set up to have that kind of hybrid meeting?
It's our hope. Right now, we're just doing some investigation to see, what's out there, what we would need, how much that's going to cost,
Right.
where we could get the funds from. There are some funds that, everybody seems to think the extra funds that are being told that the cities and towns are going to get are miraculously going to help us with things, but we're limited what you can use them for. This may be something we can use it on. But we really haven't been given very good guidance yet from the state. So until that happens, we can't really say for sure that we're going to be able to put those funds to that type of use.
Yep.
So you'd like us to set up at least our first meeting, and then to share if we were gonna at least tee up like a meeting every month, like on a Monday. And I'm not suggesting this necessarily, but is it kosher to send a note around to everybody and suggest, does Monday night work at, whatever time, and including you, Carol, and then agree or disagree as to
Right.
what's convenient?
Yeah, I think that's a good plan. From the hosting position, Monday evenings are actually the best night for me. So if that works for everybody else, that would probably be great to pick a Monday. Other than that, I will have to give you a copy of the calendar so that all of the standard nights that I'm going to be required to be with other boards. Then you can stay away from those nights.
Mhm.
Well, I'm sure not everybody's got a sense, but I think Monday night would work for me. If maybe people want to look at their calendars, and because it
Yeah.
sounds like we might say, okay, let's do it on the first Monday of the month as a start, and then add as we go as the sort of the workload ebbs or flows.
That sounds good. Mondays, are we able to just discuss it now and say, yes, this is or it is not good for me, or you'd prefer to do it separately?
I mean, if people need a little time to look at their stuff, we can do it via email, I guess, right, Carol?
Just for setting up the meeting, yes, you can.
Monday
I
would
have
work
a
for me.
question. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say that Monday nights would actually work well for me.
Mondays would work for me as well, but two questions I have is, some Mondays, because it can be a long weekend and we travel a bit, how many do you need for a quorum?
It's a 7-member board, so you would need to have at least 4 for a quorum.
Okay, yeah, Mondays are good for me as well.
For me as well, too.
All right.
Mondays work for me.
Well, looks like for the most part, Mondays look like they're going to work. Do you want to just pick a Monday in April where you're gonna have your next meeting. Let me look at this. The 5th is open if you're doing an evening. You cannot do the 12th because I do have, I told you I didn't, but I do have a meeting I have to do that night. So the 12th is the only Monday night that I can't do in April.
April. So if we're looking at the first Monday of each month, then Carol, you're saying the 4th would work for you, and then we would try,
Well, the 5th would be the first Monday in April,
oh,
but
sorry.
because we are already the 31st, that would mean
Oh.
I would have to post you an agenda, and that's next Monday, so I don't know that you really want to do that. Do you want it to be the first Monday, or do you want to pick a different?
Well, the holidays, I know you got 4th of July is probably, I don't know how that flows this year. The 12th doesn't work for you.
No, do you want to do the 19th?
I'm traveling that day. I could
Alright.
do the 26th if that isn't too far out.
Well, it's about a month away. I would suggest that if you choose that to be your first meeting, which is fine, that each of you maybe look at the charter between now and then and use a highlighter of anything that you've got questions of. Maybe even of your own accord, reach out to someone, whether it be Mr. Anderson or a member of the council or the town administrator, just to get a feel for what they may or may not have that they want you to look at. That way, when you come back on that date, you might have a little bit more meat to your conversation as to how much you think you're going to need to be doing in the next months.
That sounds good. So if it was the 26th, if we decided that that was a go, would it then be again the 4th Monday in May, the 4th Monday in June? Is that what,
It's up to you.
right?
You can decide that tonight, or you can wait until the 26th and make a firmer decision. It's up to you.
I wouldn't mind, well, this is fresh getting, and I don't know if, not to complicate it, but getting people together. Mondays could be tough in April. If the 12th doesn't work for you, the 26th is out, the 5th is
Oh,
too.
is the 26th out? I thought. we
No.
said-
No,
26th work.
is out.
Does that work for everybody?
yep.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah, the 26th works.
Yeah. What time would we say? Same time, 6:30?
yes.
6:30 is a really good time for me.
6:30 is good.
Anybody have an issue with that? Okay.
All right.
Carol, do we have to post, is that the first official meeting? Do we have to post an agenda for that meeting?
You have to, every meeting you have to post. I posted this meeting
Yep,
on your behalf. So what we will do is between now and then, you and I will work on what you need to do, what you need to learn for posting.
yep.
And we'll probably end up posting it like early, a week and a half early. We'll chat with Jack and find out what he wants on the agenda. So that because you're not supposed to talk about items that have not been posted on the agenda. So we'll chat with you, decide what you want for an agenda, and get that posted probably the week before.
And Carol, if we take your advice and reach out to people on the council and people, like Larry or Scott that have been here before, those can be, one-on-one informal dialogues with a citizen, right?
Right, so long as you don't go back to each other and discuss what you had for a conversation with those people, you can do that individually. And then that way, when you come back on the meeting of the 26th, all 6 of you may have had conversations that you can give a report and say, I talked to the finance director and he's brand new and he doesn't have a lot of input, or he's brand new and he has a lot of things he wants to see done, and whatever the case may be. So it'll give you at least more meat to your conversations.
So,
So we-
for example, Carol, on the agenda could be just a report of the members' of any interactions that they've had, because we can discuss it at a meeting. Is that
Yes,
correct?
at the meeting you can, as long as it's
So
posted.
the,
Yep.
the agenda item could be group
Discussion
discussion.
of research conducted by members or something like that.
Okay,
But we don't really have a coordinated approach till we meet and have a public, this is the way we're going forward.
Right, right.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay. Do you want to set one up in May as well, or are you happy with the April one and go from there?
well, the May one, I would stay away from the Memorial Day Monday, so it would be, if we were gonna go late, it would be the 24th.
Yes,
I would think that's a good plan.
right.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I tell you what, let's set that one for now, those 2 dates. And when you meet on the 26th, if between now and then you all get the feeling that you need to meet more often than that once a month, then you can change it. It's not set in stone.
Great.
Okay.
Okay, so there are those Mondays, 6:30. And be via Zoom, and Carol, you or Michael will send out the link.
Yes. What should happen is you should work with Michael. I can help you with it to develop what your agenda is going to be. When that happens, I'm going to assign a Zoom meeting to the date and time that you've chosen. And I will give that to Mike so that he will fit that into his agenda. And then that will get posted electronically and in paper format and distributed to all of the members.
Okay.
And then the minutes for this meeting, I will do, and I will supply those to Michael so that when he gives you the agenda for your next meeting, he will also give you a copy of the minutes because you'll need to approve your minutes at each meeting. Okay.
Sounds like a plan.
Sounds
All
good.
right. Okay. Is there any other member of the public that wishes to be heard? If so, please raise your hand. Okay, I guess that's a no. All right. If you don't have any further questions for me, I will declare this meeting adjourned at 7:09 PM.
Thank you,
And,
Carol.
all right, and I will
Carol.
work with Michael and Jack to get you set up for your next meeting. And you're entirely welcome. I will see you in a month, if not
Thank you,
sooner.
Carol.
Thank you.
All right,
Have a good night, everybody.
have a good night.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.